Hello, everybody. This is Jamie. Dr. Leigh is not going to be able to get on until 12:30, so we are going to review her 90-day program and just kind of give you an insight as to what it's about, talk about her method, and just, if you were to join her approach on how she does things. And it's very beneficial to anybody who does take it. So we're going to wait a few more minutes to let some other people join. Hi, David. Hi, Eric. Super Sunny D. Like that. I love Sunny D. So we'll let a couple more people join in. And as you can see, I am a bit nervous. But it's okay to feel uncomfortable in order to not be uncomfortable anymore. So I'm going to give it a whirl and make it happen. Hi, Nerd Boy. You can ask Dr. Leigh a question. She will be joining us at 12:30. So any questions that you have, you can go ahead and put them in now. I will do my best to get everybody's question. It's really hard with so many questions coming in. So thank you. I appreciate your kind words. It definitely makes me feel good. I certainly love working with Dr. Leigh. She is amazing. She really does care about the people that she is serving and wants to get the word out to as many people as possible. So that's why we do these lives. That's why she puts so much content out there for those who are not able to join the program. So hi, Bonnie from India. So I will answer one question. How do one know he is addicted? When you have that urge to go back to the screen, the hijacker has got you. It releases so much dopamine that it feels good, and it's hard to not go back. What's up from the Gulf Coast? Hello, Derek. No, it's from Raleigh. You are right down the road from us. I'm in Durham, and Dr. Leigh is in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. I'm going to let Dr. Leigh answer your question, Ramsey, because I'm sure that could be an open-ended question. I think it's different for a lot of people. Someone who is addicted to porn, obviously, is going to take longer. In a couple of Dr. Leigh's videos that she's posted in the past, anywhere from 15 minutes to, I think it was 15 to 30 minutes. 2 hours and all night long is just unrealistic. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. UK, GB in the house. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to share my screen, and I tried to add it where I could, you can see me and share the screen, but it's not allowing me to do that. So we will go ahead and start the presentation. Oh, that's not what I wanted. apologize. Give me just a moment to get this started. All right. Are you able to see the PowerPoint? Yes, you are? Okay. I'm going to go back and share that again. I just wanted to make sure that you were able to see it. Oh, I just nixed it. Let's try this again. All right, here we go. So we're going to talk about Dr. Leigh's 90-day program. Again, she will be joining us at 12:30 to be able to answer questions. She unfortunately had a prior commitment this morning that she was not able to join us for the first 30 minutes. So, I said, well, how about I share about the 90-day program? So it's a win-win for both of us. So we are going to start from the beginning, the 90-day program with Dr. Leigh. So how can you tell that you are addicted to porn? Salience. Porn is important to you. You spend your time and energy on it. Tolerance. You have a gradual increase in porn use without satisfaction. Mood modification. You use porn to reduce negative feelings, conflict, internal or relationship conflict due to porn. Withdrawal symptoms, psychological and physical withdrawal symptoms when you stop. And relapse, unsuccessful efforts when you try to reduce or stop porn. Keep in mind, though, when you are on a journey to stop and you do relapse, it's one of those things you don't want to put a lot of focus on. You want to keep going. So if you relapse, get up, dust yourself off, deconstruct what led you back, and change something, and then keep going. So some people count the days, some don't. I would say not to, because it puts a lot of pressure on you. The 3x3 approach built on science. This is Dr. Leigh's method and how she approaches things. You have to, it's past, present, and future, unwire, rewire, and hardwire. So in the past, you have to resolve your experiences, trauma, dysfunction. That could be severe, or it could be something as little as your parents not showing you enough attention. Resolving things in the present, mental and physical environment, your routines and habits, your thought process, emotions and feelings. In the future, identity and personality, and learning healthy sexuality. Unwire, unhealthy brain pattern. You have to rewire to work better, and hardwire it to the optimal mode forever. And that's what Dr. Leigh can do for you in this program. Here is a infographic just kind of showing you the past, present, future healing. It's the same things that we just discussed. Mind, body, and spirit using neuroscience. Unwire, rewiring, and hardwire your brain to succeed. The difference in Dr. Leigh's program versus others is neuroscience. It starts in the brain, so it has to end in the brain. So she is a huge fan of brain training lessons. So with technology or without technology, she teaches you how to do both in this 90-day program. You see the gentleman wearing the Muse Calm headband, and it basically helps you control your brain. You will watch something on your your phone, and you are listening to a couple of different, you choose what backdrop you'd like to listen to. It could be a rainforest or beach waves or bird or like nature. It's different options you can choose. When your mind is not focused, it gets loud. And whenever you are able to bring your mind into a calm state, you'll hear a little bird chirp, and it sounds like he's on your shoulder. So that's a reward because you're able to stay in the calm zone, and that is your goal. After you're done, it produces a graph, and in that graph, it will show you how you did. And it really is helpful. It gets you from where you are to where you want to be in a faster amount of time. We do offer a link for that. Go back. We offer a link to get 15% off of this. They have this one and one that you can actually go to sleep with, and it will measure your patterns while you're sleeping. So it is really an awesome piece of technology, and I use mine every day because it has helped me tremendously. So how is the program structured? It's designed for daily lessons in 90 days. Engage and involve is what Dr. Leigh says. You pace yourself, but stay engaged. It can take longer, but if you stay the course, you can succeed. It's 8 hours and 11 minutes of exactly what you need. 79 activities, 15 minutes video lessons, action steps with video lessons, with each video lesson, visuals to support learning, and add biweekly group coaching sessions with Dr. Leigh to get her support. She also will give support via email if you're having a problem with, a certain module in the 90-day program. I will send out emails weekly just to kind of motivate you. And if you ever, need any help, you certainly can reach out. This is the 90-day Porn Reboot Blueprint. This is what she uses for the rewire, hardwire, you make a commitment, develop discipline and resilience. You unwire, that's resolving the past traumas and experience to get rid of guilt and shame, which we all know that porn consumption definitely can bring that on. You create a pivot plan to stay away from porn. That could be porn blockers, having an accountability partner. She will also give you a way to do that, like a little toolkit that you would use to help you create a pivot plan. To rewire, you change your routines, your habits, your thought processes. You train your brain with or without technology and strategies, and she gives you those strategies to use. Identifying your emotions and take steps to solve problems, not escaping. Not everyone, but a lot of people do watch pornography to escape because you get such a large dopamine hit. It makes you feel good. And who doesn't want to feel good and escape from life that is very difficult, especially, during COVID. It's been really hard for everybody, and being locked up in the house, having access to phone and internet these days, it's so easy to get pulled in and stuck in that way of escaping. Hardwire, establish healthy sexuality, identifying your goals, and integrate your personality and healthy levels. Live a life of dignity and integrity.
Hey, Jamie, I'm in the house. I don't know if you.
Hey.
Hi. What's shaking?
We are going over the PowerPoint, and if you want to take over now, you certainly can, or I can.
Yeah, I can just thankfully I had an appointment, and the person I had the appointment with is very sensitive to everybody here.
Oh,
And he let me out and released me, even though this is his precious time with me. So if he is watching, I want you to know how much I really appreciate that, because he knows how important it is for me to be here with you all, but I didn't want to cancel his appointment. So a shout out and thank you to him for recognizing the importance. Yeah, I'll just finish up kind of quickly going through this. And
okay.
since I was going to be late, Jamie took the opportunity just to share about the 90-day program. And someone, if you're here, someone put a comment and I responded to it saying that, isn't the price of the program an arbitrarily high price? And I responded saying, and Super Sunny D has the question, how much is it? And it's down on a lower slide, but the 90-day program is $899 if you pay for it in one shot. And there is a three-pay plan, say that 5 times fast, that you can pay over 3 months if you'd like. But it's not arbitrary. And I know it's an investment for people, but it's also not that super high comparative to if we were to work together personally, it would be more than triple the price. And if you worked with a psychotherapist or a coach who doesn't know what they're doing, it would cost you almost triple the price and you would have little hope of actually succeeding. So I wanted people to know what's in this program. The entire thing is built on neuroscience. David, I will get to your question. So, I think I know how to show it here. So I will show it. Jamie and I were playing with this program yesterday, but I wanted you to know that it's 8 hours and 11 minutes of digital content that you walk through yourself. And then Jamie and I answer all your questions. When you get into the 90-day program, we know it's an investment. So we're here to help you succeed. And the way that we do that is we answer all your emails. I'll make you a video response if you need guidance on any concept. And then you can add a weekly group with me, which is actually totally awesome. And if anybody is here, from the weekly group, they know how powerful it really can be. But it basically is, looking back as long as we need to unwire the pattern that has pushed you in towards the screen. I also share with you how the screen pulls you in and using visuals and helping you to understand it. We also move through how to train your brain out of that mode, and so that you can gain some traction, so that you can conquer urges and cravings. That's number one. You put up your defensive plan. You figure out how to push through, and then you get to the offensive plan so that you can change your routines, you can change your habits, change your physical and mental space, so that you can reboot the way that you live your life. And it becomes super duper important. So then we move on. That's the rewire part. Then we think about your identity and your personality. That becomes, those are constructs that are changeable. And I know so many people think that they're stuck in the way of living, but it can be different than that. And then, of course, how to build healthy sexuality. Okay, so now let's get to questions early, because Jamie and I have reviewed some questions before this that people have put on the comments. So we'll get to them in a minute. But David's, let's see if I can show it. Question. You like that, Jamie?
Yeah, it looks good.
We know how to share questions. David questions. He asked if he could ask me a question today. And there's another one underneath it. It is 29 years old, day 61. It's amazing. When I reach day 65, it will be my longest streak ever. I feel awesome, but I want to get rid of the FOMO. I was just talking to my dear husband, who I always talk about. Here's another one of the new P scene or status. I don't get tempted to when I sneak a peek. I really consider it a waste of time when I check on, Instagram or Twitter accounts. So what the deal is, FOMO is a real thing. And I had an awesome email from someone talking about how, my brain, and Andy's totally right, my brain is conditioned for the chase. My brain is, and this neurologically, your brain has been using the neural pathways that make you want to hunt down sexual conquests, or new exciting sexual things so that your brain gets the dopamine hit, and it's a self-soothing technique. So the fact that you have FOMO on new things that are out there, which are obviously are awful and terrible for your brain, it's because you're conditioned to go in that direction from the neural pathways that you've been using in the past. So it's part of the deal for you right now. And the reason I wanted to share about the 90-day program is because there's pivotal pieces that you need to be able to consider to be able to get out from underneath this thing for once and for all. So many people don't succeed at long term, leaving PMO behind because of what I'm talking about. They're not exploring those pieces, and their brain's hardcore conditioned to look for those new exciting sexual conquests. So, long story short, you have to come to terms with the FOMO. And I'm sure you have seen this because this is the conversation with my husband. My husband was having FOMO on some things that my friends were doing that we weren't able to go. And I'm like, dude, you have to transition from FOMO to JOMO, the joy of missing out, right? And that's where I'm at in my life. Like, if I'm not included in something that's constant pleasure seeking, I'll talk about that in a second. Instagram, Twitter, it's baiting you into just pleasure seeking behaviors. And it's not an age thing. I've trained myself to look for contentment in life and joy in life. And it's not like the intensity of pleasure and the go of seeking more pleasure. It's the joy of letting the nervous system come down and be happy where I am and not need that, and not need to. People in our neighborhood were taking a party bus, and I don't even know where they went. Or I'm like, dude, you want to be on a party bus with the neighborhood people? And any neighborhood people out, of course, I appreciate you if you're here. But I'm like, no, I don't want to be on a party bus. I don't want to be stuck on a party bus with all those people for like 5 hours. What am I going to do there? But it's just the idea of pleasure seeking that he was, didn't want to miss out on that. The same thing applies here. No matter where you're finding that pleasure, the goal of this whole thing is to teach your brain to be happy in the here and the now with what you have in a healthy way. And then that is the JOMO, the joy of missing out. And when it comes to Instagram or Twitter or anything baiting you back into the scene, the porn or the adult erotic scene, you can framework shift it. In coaching, I talk to people all the time. I'll say to people, and they're not able to do it many times, I'll say, how could you framework shift this? How could you framework shift, fear missing out on the new porn scene? You framework shift it by saying, thank goodness I am no longer part of that scene, because all the new stuff is going to damage brains worse than the old stuff. And I know what it's done for me. It hasn't been a pleasant experience, and I'm completely hooked in. And all the new scene is going to hook people in worse than ever. So thankfully, you are not part of that, because it comes along with consequences and with damage. So, be glad that you're not part. Yeah, JOMO, Super Sunny D. That's exactly right. It's the joy of missing out on that. Jamie, do you have another question for me?
I do. This is from Jay's. It's regarding fetishes. I would like to know whether my friends are right. As long as there's consent and it does not hurt the partner. Basically, he was talking about pulling hair and fetishes that, women or men have. He was talking with his friends, and they said, as long as both are in consent and it does not hurt the partner, it is perfectly acceptable. I would also like to know whether someone can have intimate sex with his partner that build around these kinds of fetishes, which portray scenes of male dominance, in my opinion. I'm also curious as the reason men are inclined towards these acts of male dominance.
Okay, well, men are, some men are inclined that way in the first place. I know that lots of people out there think all men are inclined in that way, and they are not. and you become more and more inclined depending upon what you're watching. And there's an awesome new study that I am making. I know what you're thinking. Science again, Dr. Trish. Yep. Actually, I'm going to pull it up and just I don't need to. I remember it actually. So there's a really cool study on mainstream pornography, and what it says is that and it's a big study looking across a lot of porn scenes, and it talks about spanking, gagging, slapping, hair pulling, and choking, the 5 most common forms of physical aggression in scenes in pornography, mainstream, not even anything too intense. And what is shown, I hope you can follow me on this because it's really important distinction, is that what is shown is that in 97% of the scenes, these acts are shown. And in all of them, the women respond with pleasure or a neutral response. So basically, what your brain has learned is that this is what women like. Because if you've watched porn, we'll say 500 times. We'll keep it low because some people, it's literally in the tens of thousands of times. But even at 500 times or even at 100 times, if you watch something, that you are taking the neural pathways those neural pathways are linking your brain to think that it's pleasurable for you to see or do these acts. And you're also learning from the worst sex educator ever that women like this stuff too. And you're learning it at a neurological level. You're not even conscious of it. Those neural pathways are being fired up time and time again. And so your brain is learning that this is what women like, and this is what is good for me as a man, and this is what makes up for good, healthy sex. So, first of all, the takeaway from that is we know from another study that women don't like that. So that is not something that women like. Now, here's the tricky part with your actual partner in the world. She may not even know what she likes because women are being conditioned to be objects. So, we have to open up and have some conversations about what your partner actually likes and thinking of it as an experience. So I'm going to segue into, this is the part, segue into can you keep fetishes or acts like that in a healthy sexual relationship? Yeah, you can, as long as they're playful and they're not anything that is, too out there for any one of the partners. But you have to actually know what you like. And you have to remember it is through the lens of hypersexuality. It's like you put your glasses on, your glasses are on that just see sexuality like this. And it's hard to take those glasses off if you've used those neural pathways over and over and over. So just recognizing that, ultimately they're not really healthy acts. And we know that not really anybody actually likes them, but most people are conditioned to think they're what is to like. So how do you create a healthy sexual relationship is you figure out what each person actually likes and you keep the arousing things in, but you keep it at a level of intimacy and connection. And in one of the emails, if I could just expand for one more second, because Jamie and I were talking about this yesterday, is that someone's like, I asked my friends and my friends are all into this. And and then their girlfriends all say that they like those things, is that, if you're polling the wrong people, you're going to get the wrong answer. If you poll a lot of unhealthy people who don't even know about any of this stuff, they're just going to tell you what they know too, which is what you know. You're polling the wrong people. And, if you have a plumbing problem in your house, which is probably a bad analogy. I always pick the worst analogies on the fly, but you can't go ask your friends what they think you should do about your plumbing problems in your house. You have to ask a plumber who knows about the intricacies of plumbing. And it's the same idea. You need to find out from people who know how to build healthy sexuality, how to do that. Jamie, you have another question for me?
Yes. I know, August. I know that, porn does create adult ADHD, but can porn create trauma bipolar?
Yeah, it definitely can. So Bipolar is, and if you've met me or talked to me for any amount of time, you know that I don't like to use any diagnostic terms. So in my practice for a really long time, I don't diagnose anything. What I do is I find the underlying brain patterns using QEEG brain mapping. I can see what a person's brain is doing. So I know what their brain is doing and the behaviors that they create. But we're going to use these terms because everybody knows them and accepts these diagnostic terms. So we're going to use them. And I don't love to use the word addiction, but that's the one we understand. So I use that word too. So can porn create trauma and bipolar behaviors? Absolutely, yes. So we know scientifically that it creates the brain patterns that create these feelings and these emotional states. Trauma is usually a driving force towards pornography. Trauma is a brain that's using lower electrical energy. That's what it looks like in the brain. So if you have a brain map done, it's all blue. Your brain's running too low in power. I always liken it to, if you have a controller, and I called the controller a clicker the other day, and my son Seamus is like, "Clicker? Seriously? Who are you, Grandpa?" I'm like, "Yeah, pass me the clicker, dude, and keep your mouth quiet." But no, so I like your controller. The controller, if the batteries are dying or if they're not charged up all the way, sometimes your controller works, sometimes it doesn't because the power's too low. So what happens is a brain that is running too low in power, which for most people who are going to compulsive sexual behaviors, there's a trauma piece in a brain that's running lower. And I see it in people's brains all day, every day, basically. And then I've talked about the bipolar pattern many, many times without calling it the bipolar pattern. The bipolar pattern is that pendulum swinging pattern where your brain goes out into that very fast, high energy, very fast speed. Then it swings in the other direction and is using very slow speed. Too much of that, I call it anxiety and overwhelm. And when your brain swings, that is bipolarism, because basically sometimes you're high and sometimes you're low. And it's the polar opposite of what is the optimal brain pattern in the middle of a brain that is using that medium speed for optimal performance of calm focus. So bipolarism is swinging out to that anxiety, manic, go, 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 overdrive mode, swinging back into the low and slow where you can't get off the couch or you are unmotivated. And all the while, there's probably low power there too. The key, the way through and the way out is to get the brain training headband. And this isn't a sales pitch, just so you know, because when you buy the brain training headband, you buy it from the manufacturer. I have that 15% off affiliate link. But when you buy it and you start using it, your brain starts being gently taught. It's being taught to come into that middle speed, and you will start to feel better. And then you're no longer using the brain pattern for trauma because it's powering you up, and you're no longer using the bipolar brain pattern, and your life can come online. And I made that short program, Brain Training 101. It's $49 to teach you how to use that headband well. And that would be a beautiful start for anybody who's feeling that way. And for you, Ina, especially for you. That would be a great start. You got another thought?
I do. There? This one is from Joseph. A cold shower will help regulate. I just said the answer. Does a cold shower help? He takes cold showers regularly and they do not seem to help him.
Yeah. So if cold showers are in every book on a Porn Brain Reboot and sexual addiction, coming out of compulsive sexual behaviors, cold showers are great because they regulate the nervous system, like Jamie was just saying. But if it's not enough, you don't have all the pieces in place, and likely you need to put more of those pieces in place, resolving past trauma and family dysfunction. And the easiest thing, because here I'm about trying to give you actual strategies. The easiest thing for you to do is change something. Go change something. Do more dopamine producing activities in your actual life. Change your physical and your mental space, and change as many things as possible. That goes back to your identity, right? You can change who you conceptualize yourself as. Like me, I'm going for biker chick training is what I've been calling it. I know that's not socially appropriate. I'm not even trying to be. My motorcycle training program starts at 6 p.m. today. I have been feverishly taking the 4-hour class, which I finished, by the way, Jamie. So this girl's going to create my identity as a biker chick. And I'm pretty sure my husband thinks I've gone straight off the rails. But as I was thinking about it and taking my 4-hour program, I was thinking to myself, like, why am I doing this? Because he's totally right. He's like, you have 5,000 things to do this weekend. Why? It's from 6 to 10 tonight, 8 to 5 tomorrow, and 8 to 5 Sunday. Like literally
Wow.
no time. And Jamie knows I've been behind the 8 ball all week. So, but this is what I thought to myself. I love to drive. I'm a very good driver. I don't know if I've shared this with all of you because I remind my husband of this lots of times, is that I have actually been stopped twice across my life, people telling me what a good driver I am. And because I'm a very respectful driver. I drive in the right-hand lane. I go into the left to pass. I get back in the right. And that is literally a true story. One time in particular, I was traveling a long distance. And when I got to, a rest stop, a guy came up to me. Hopefully he didn't have a hypersexual frame of reference, and he complimented my driving skills. So anyways, back to my motorcycle driving is that I like to drive. Driving chills my action out. And I've been thinking about Da Vinci. If any of you have ever read the book on, I think it's called, it's not, I can't remember, but it's a cool book on how to think like Da Vinci. Leonardo da Vinci had a very scientific mind, but then he did a lot of other hobbies so that he could tap into his, smart brain or his thinking brain by doing these other activities. And driving does that to my brain. So I'm like, this is a perfect thing for me to do. Taking risks, we've already talked about this. Taking risks becomes very dopamine producing. So that's, slightly risky activity. Do something like that is the point. If cold showers aren't working, don't take more cold showers. Keep them in the mix, but go do something that you've always been wanting to do because it will literally be a game changer for you. Okay, Jamie, what else you got there?
So, Tom L. question, I'm on day 10. Congratulations. And really determined to quit this vice forever. One thing is that yesterday I had vivid dreams to the point where I woke up with a woody. Is that a good sign? I also want to throw in there, if you can just add this, for individuals that have dreams, wet dreams, how do they, is there some way to control that, or why does that happen? So if you can add that in there as well.
Yeah. And I talk about this a lot actually to people in my coaching program and in my 90-day program. So this is a planned response, not just one off the cuff. And yeah, congratulations on day 10. And yeah, like if you have vivid dreams, you can think of it this way. If you're handling this in your life in the day when you are conscious, right now it's creeping in on you in your subconscious. And you've been using these neural pathways, Tom's, I have no idea how long, but we'll just say you've been using these neural pathways over and over and over for a long time. They are not going to die off with ease. It's going to take some time and it's going to take some rewiring. So if it sneaks into your subconscious as a very vivid dream, sometimes it's lucid dreaming. And I could give you a whole spiel on what's happening in your brain, but I'll give you the short version of the spiel. Is basically when you have real vivid dreams, and especially if you become lucid and you're kind of in a dreamlike state, but also awake enough to sense them, that is when your brain is the most creative and it's going to try to hijack you. That is the hijacker getting insanely creative to try to make you double, guess yourself into overthink what's going on. So vivid dreams are part of the process. Nocturnal emissions, part of the process for many people. If you don't have that, also don't panic, because I work with people who are like, I've never had nocturnal emission. Does that mean I'm not getting better? No, it just means your body doesn't need to purge it in that way as your brain is rewiring. Both of them are healthy. But the vivid dream is trying to make you think about it. So is fantasy. I see questions on fantasy coming up here in the chat box too. So fantasy is your conscious mind in the day. If your brain slows down, just like it would during sleep, it's starting to trail off into fantasy because your brain is becoming dreamier and sleepier and creative. And the way out during the day is to bring your brain back into reality. The way out during the night, and I know you didn't really ask this, Toms, but it's expanding upon it, is if you wake up and you're kind of in that lucid state, is to focus on your breath. Literally focus your breath on your breath and say to yourself, as you're breathing in, think in, out. Because if you're focusing on your breath, you can't think about that dream. You can't give it power by thinking about it. When you allow yourself to engage in the fantasy, whether it be in the day or the night, when you grab onto it, you're giving it power, literal electrical energy power. You're firing that thought up, which will make it worse, which could lead to, your morning wood, as people are always concerned about. But we also know, you see it in a million movies. And we saw it in, forget that movie with Ryan Reynolds, where he makes a morning wood joke. That's natural for many men. So that's not a big deal either. It's how you act upon it and what you do about it. So especially on this journey, and especially at day 10, because you're doing great and there's so much more ahead of you, don't give into those thoughts and don't overthink things. Just be consistent on the routines that change something, going back to that idea, and the new routines that you have for yourself. Don't give in to those thoughts. I would encourage you. You're doing great. Keep moving in the right direction.
All right. And Donald, I had you on my list for the next question on my other list. So I'm glad you put this one. But I've been experiencing this sensation of increased heart rate for a few days now. I'm about a month along into my PMO abstinence journey. Is this normal?
It is normal. And it frequent might not be, it's typical. So it totally can happen. And again, it goes back to regulation. What we're talking about here is your brain was in a very dysregulated pattern. That pendulum that I talked about, lots of fast speed, lots of slow speed, back and forth, up and down. As that unwires itself, it has to recalibrate. And it's affecting your brain runs. It's a supercomputer that's running your body. It affects your heart rate. And so having a heart rate that speeds up as your brain recalibrates is something that can definitely happen to people. It doesn't have to, again, but it can. So again, the more things you do to rewire your brain by changing your routines, changing your thought processes, making them more positive, using a lot of positive psychology, reading some good books that put some good stuff in, exercising, trying to eat nutritiously. The filter is just don't eat anything with a crinkly bag. Start there. I forced myself to. I was starving yesterday. It's been, again, Friday, one of those weeks. But yesterday,
I told my husband that he was going shopping, and I said nothing in a crinkly bag.
Totally, I know. And yesterday, I got out celery, and my daughter's like, "Is celery taste good?" I'm like, "Absolutely not, especially without like ranch dip." But we're eating it anyways because it is just plain old good nutrition. I already had a protein bar, so I couldn't go for. Actually, I had a protein bar and a protein shake. I'm like, I cannot go back for more protein because I'm all good there. I got to hit the vegetables. But keeping your system at bringing it as efficiently towards the middle is a really positive way for you to offset that racing heart. And just recognizing, yeah, it can definitely happen, but the more positive things you do to rewire your brain, the more you're going to stay in the middle.
Okay, this one's from Mark K. Any other recommendations you have to get rid of PIED, porn-induced erectile dysfunction? Been off porn now for almost 2 years, but I still have PIED.
Okay, yes, Mark, I do. And that is tough, especially after 2 years. So if you still have erectile dysfunction after 2 years, that means the reward center in your brain really needs some healing. It really needs to be reactivated. And it depends on how you live the rest of your life. But this is what we're going to think about in this concept. And then I will, once I tell you this whole concept, I promise I'll give you the short version, then I'll get to how it relates to erectile dysfunction. But your brain has been trained to hit the easy button and get a dopamine flood. So it goes back to pleasure seeking. Like, we live in a pleasure seeking society. So this is why I'm sharing with you, like, erectile dysfunction can really stay around for a long time if your brain is still in this hit the easy button for pleasure mode. If you're fulfilling that on Instagram or on Twitter or with video games or with using your phone or with food, we can pleasure seek in so many different ways. Your brain has to be retaught how to spend time slowly and surely over time, using energy to get smaller rewards from smaller objectives that lead to a larger goal. There can be no easy button for a dopamine hit. And there's so many ways we do that right now. So it's executive function. You have to fire up the reward center and the frontal lobe so that now it knows how to do that. Get a little hit of dopamine and feel good about going to work tomorrow, to work 8 hours, right? And to work hard for 8 hours towards the project that you're building, and feeling good at the end with lower levels of dopamine, feeling good about the work you put in that day towards the bigger goal. Or like in my motorcycle class, not to beat it to death, I'm sorry, I won't talk about it hopefully after this week, because I've already thought of my next new project. I'm doing these projects. My motorcycle project is this type of project for me. You should see the helmet I got. Actually, I got 3 of them.
Oh, wow.
Two of them need to go back, man. I have 3 helmets because I wanted to make sure I like the helmet. It's comfortable. It's going to protect my noggin, right? And that it fits well. So over the course of the last 2 weeks, I had to buy 3 different helmets, and I nailed it. I'll take a picture and I'll put it on Instagram. Totally nailed the helmet. So the point is, I'm firing up my reward center, getting psyched about my helmet, right? That's just a lower dopamine hit. That's not the rush I'm going to get when I'm finally cruising on my cool new motorcycle. That's a long way off. I had to put the work in taking this 4-hour course. And I thought to myself, I know I'm in the right place on this motorcycle thing because I stayed up late, even though I was beat, taking the motorcycle class online and gladly doing it and excited about it. And I told my husband, do you know when you ride a motorcycle, you break your lane into 3 sections? And he's like, makes sense, because he didn't care at all. He was doing something else. But the point is, I'm up late thinking that's a cool feature. And then I got up early to finish it. I'm on the right track because I'm excited to complete a 4-hour course that I didn't have time. And I gladly showed him the screenshot of my completion certificate when I got done. And I bought gloves. I bought this cool body armor coat. You can hear the excitement in my voice on the tiny pieces that I'm putting together on this project. That's how you fire your brain up. You get a project going like that. I know it seems silly, but if you can do this consistently, you're teaching your brain to get excited about smaller rewards, and that it's leading you to a larger reward, getting yourself a cool bike and cruising around the lake that I live by. So that's one way that you can do it. Now, how does that relate to erectile dysfunction? Is that when you have erectile dysfunction, the reward center in your brain, the receptors are literally fried out from the dumping of the dopamine. Dopamine is a linking neurotransmitter. I always call it the pleasure seeking or the seemingly pleasure neurotransmitter, just to make it easy. But what it does is it links your brain and your body to the pleasure that you found somewhere else. It's a linking neurotransmitter. So you need to link that neurotransmitter to something else healthy at lower levels over a longer amount of time. And I'm telling you, if you do that, and if you do it consistently, and you stay away from the easy button anywhere, the easy button is I go on Instagram and I troll, and I'm flooding my brain. Instagram, social media, they're super normal stimuli, not to the level that pornography is, for sure, nowhere near the level, but it has a similar mechanism that you go on it and it's giving your brain this big hit. Find where you're getting those big hits and limit them, whether it be food, whether it be in real life somewhere. Then give your brain lower hits in a healthy way somewhere in your life, and it will pay off. And before you know it, you will have your erectile dysfunction will start to decrease. Now that's number 1, and I promise I'll move on in a second. Number 2 is you have to develop healthy sexuality. So the 2 main pieces that are the most important thing in this whole Porn Brain Reboot is to find mood regulation somewhere else in a healthy way, and do it in small pieces that lead to big pieces. Do it in your work, do it in your relationships, and do it in your hobbies. That is for real. That's the number one thing you need to do, and it will work. The number two thing is watch those videos I made on healthy sexuality versus unhealthy hypersexuality. So when you go to have a sexual experience, it needs to be with a partner that you care about. No, that's not married sex. Someone wrote out a comment. That's just married sex, not. I'm like, no, it's not. That's healthy sex, man. Like, you can have healthy sex whether you're married or not. But what you're learning from the worst sex educator ever in pornography is not what healthy sex is. So when you go to be with a person, you also have to teach your brain within a sexual experience to respond to lower levels of intensity. But you should have higher levels of intimacy and connection. There should be a fun element to it. And going back to, if you watch the video, because we're supposed to be talking here about porn sex versus real sex for our theme for the week, if you watch that video, take 10 to 12 minutes to build arousal. Stop being performance oriented, be experience oriented. And if you're with a safe partner, you can do that, especially if your partner knows about this struggle. It might not be the most fantastic experience in the world, but you're moving in the right direction. And so when you take 10 to 12 minutes to build arousal and you're not worried about going forever, recognizing that healthy people, after they build arousal, stay in that place for 3 minutes, enjoy that. Lower levels of intensity, more connection. You get oxytocin flowing, you get endorphins flowing. You, of course, get dopamine, you get serotonin. You get a lot of the neurochemical cocktail that will help your brain keep moving back towards healthy sexuality. You got another question there, Jamie?
I've been experiencing anger, high frustration, stress when I reach 4 to 5 days of no flap, and I let myself down each time to feel calm and cool, which is increasing my addiction.
Yep. And this is going to be classic. This is going to be par for the course if you are starting your no flap journey, because we know, again, that pornography and masturbation are used to regulate your mood. They're used to decrease anger, decrease frustration, and decrease stress. But we also know they're causing anger, frustration, and stress. So figure out what you are frustrated about, what you're angry about, and what you're stressed about. It could be nothing. I'm sorry to tell you, King, it could be nothing, because it could just be coming from the fact that you're flooding your brain with dopamine in the screen, and then you go to your world and there's no dopamine there because you've trained it. There's not enough dopamine. So everything's frustrating, everything makes you angry, and everything seems stressful. And if that's the case, you go work out, you go for runs, you stay away from people that you're going to, have to engage with that are going to trigger you, and you give yourself the time and the space for that brain pattern to unwire. But if you're feeling that way, likely there are traumas or dysfunction from your childhood that still need to be resolved. I encourage you to think about them so that you know what they are. And the way to resolve them is to forgive the people who have wronged you and forgive yourself if there's a forgiveness piece there for you also. So you have to resolve those past experiences. Then you also have to figure out the stressors and the triggers in your life. Some of them cannot be eliminated, like your 6 beautiful children. And then I was looking at my dogs and I'm like, my dogs are slightly stressful too. I'm like, can I eliminate these dogs? And I love my dogs. We have 2 cats too, because my daughters wanted cats. It's like literally a ridiculous life. I was thinking this, and I'm looking at my stressors. I'm like, can I eliminate my husband? No, I'm only kidding. I wouldn't eliminate him. But there are things I can eliminate. There's appointments I can eliminate. My young daughter and I, on our theme of music to quit porn by, Jason Mraz came on. And I don't know if you probably hate Jason Mraz, but I love him. I think he's very creative. And in one of his songs, he says something about opening your schedule and damn, you're free. And my schedule's been jacked up this week. So I'm like, open up my schedule and damn, I'm free. I could just cancel my schedule right now and I am a free woman, which obviously I don't want to, but I can. And I have taken things off the plate, instead of, go out, order food instead of making it. If you don't go to the meeting, if you're not pivotal that you be there, there's things you can take off your plate and you become free. stressors you can eliminate, then you can reduce others and recognize it's probably coming from you until your brain gets in a healthier place. Give yourself time and space if it's coming from you. You got one more for me, maybe one or two?
I do. This one's kind of a long one, but it's from Stefan. Is there anything real in pornography? What is filmed in actual light? What if they filmed an actual real life act? Does it make it legal to watch? I see something like virtual versus reality. What about those who don't have sex with a partner? I know many single persons. Some are single because of pornography. Some become single after a breakup and go into this trap. They say at least masturbation can compensate. Doctor, this is a personal question. Doesn't all of this affect you in life? For example, if I talk every day about sex, porn, and other stuff, or I have in mind many key words like this, can trigger me into temptation. Pornography is a global problem.
Yep. Yeah, what you focus on increases. So if you're trying to lose weight, you don't want to think about how you're not eating food all day long because you're focused on food. So what you think about expands. And that is important. That's the second piece of what we're talking about here, is that, being hyper focused on not watching porn is not what I advocate. That's not at all. And so, I've already said, when you get on purpose in your life and you know what you want to create for your life. So this is what I would encourage you to do. Think of your life. And actually, this is Havard Mella and I talked about it on the podcast for this week, is that this helped him to overcome his porn addiction. Is he says 5 years, but I'm going to shorten that to think of what you would like your life to be like in 1 year. So if you want your life to be different in 1 year from now, you must do different things. And so if you want a relationship and you don't have one right now, it will be much more difficult for you to establish a healthy relationship while consuming pornography. And especially if you have a compulsive, which most people do because their brains get hijacked. If you have a quote unquote porn addiction, your brain's been hijacked by it and you need it for mood regulation. It changes the way that you interact with people. We know it increases social anxiety. It makes it more difficult to meet a partner. Your electromagnetic field becomes less attractive. You repel people. You're filled with shame, and that shame is coming off of you. So if you want a relationship, then you have to focus your mind on what you're going to do to find relationships or a relationship. You're not hyper-focused, but if you're focused on it, what you focus on expands. So if you're spending your time and energy by watching pornography, and I will get to the question, is any of it real? If you're focused on watching it, you are focused on making yourself the fourth wall observer. You are spending your time and energy being an observer of sex, which for most people, that's not what they want. If you spend your time and energy on figuring out how to become an awesome sexual partner, then you become a sexual partner. Those are two totally different goals that have two forks in the road. You can't take them both. You have to take one or the other. One's going to lead you towards a life of more and more pornography and less of a chance of being able to attract a partner and be the type of person that is good for a healthy partner. The other one makes you a healthy sexual partner. If you need to include quote unquote healthy masturbation, even though it's not a great idea if you're in the situation of compulsive sexual behavior, but if you're just totally jonesing and can't leave porn behind, some people establish a healthy masturbation habit once every 2 weeks, scheduled, not giving in to urges, connecting with your body, staying with your body, staying present. And I'm not going to go off on that for too long, but the idea is your mind is aimed at becoming a healthy sexual partner with a partner that you will attract to you. Now, here's the first step of doing it. Stop watching porn. I know it's circular. Number 2, become a better friend. Become a better son or daughter. Become a better partner if you have a partner. Give more than you take. there is a dynamic that is created in relationships that, especially when it includes pornography, and this is a good way to talk about in 2 weeks from now, not next week, the week after. I just recorded a podcast with an author, Andrew Susskind. Totally awesome. I kept him on for the whole hour. It's a long podcast because I was absolutely loving talking with him. And in there, we discussed this dynamic of the distancer and the pursuer. And we know that this is a dynamic that it exists in relationships that have sexual compulsion in them. The distancer is the person who feels shame and goes back to pornography. So the distancing that's done is that shame doesn't allow them to fully connect with their partner, and it makes the partner pursue them. And then they like being pursued because now they're chasing down the intensity of sexual compulsion and they're being chased by a partner. Unhealthy dynamics. So if you want to bring that dynamic back into balance, give to your partner, pursue your partner kindly, not obsessively. Pursue people that would be attractive to you as a partner, and move in the direction of intimacy. Intimacy is not sex with other people. Intimacy is, I'm a good friend. I reach out to my friend. My friend's going away for the weekend. It's been a crazy week. I'm like, have an awesome trip. I send her a text. And and then she's like, rock out your biker training, send me pics, And so that's us connecting with each other in an intimate way that she doesn't connect with anybody else. And of course, last night, Whitney, who's my office manager at Leigh Brain and Spine, our private practice, oh my gosh, I literally was in tears with the texts that she was sending me. All these weird gifs about a motorcycle that goes off the road and like hits a giraffe. They're just so funny. And then of course she was being weird with these texts. And so it's building intimacy with her, being friendly and sharing and connecting. Do that with the people in your world and extend yourself to do that with new people. Okay, so let's talk about, is anything in porn real? And I know people will say, I don't watch like the industry of porn. I'll watch amateur porn because it's real people. Real healthy people do not take videos of themselves having sex and upload them for your viewing pleasure. They don't do that. And I know some of you out there are going, yeah, they do. I've done that. Or, my friend's done that, or my brother's sister has done that. That is, healthy people don't do that. It's an experience that they want to share. And people who have had their, making a sex tape with your partner that never leaves your room is one thing. But I will tell you, usually that's steep in hypersexuality too, because if you're a hypersexual partner, you like watching yourself with your partner too, because you're conditioned to be the fourth wall observer. So just also recognize that if you have a lot of pictures of your partner and your brother's uncle, how's that? You're totally right. Proactive. Your brother's sister. That makes it your sister. Too funny. But your brother's uncle, how's that? Love it. Absolutely love it. Anyways, what was my train of thought? The point is that if you're recording yourself, that is, and you're right, they upload. Thank you, Artem, for pointing it out, because that's where I was going to in the next train of thought, is that it's for profit. It's to make money many times, and it is or they're enjoying the idea of having people watch them, which that is part of hypersexuality also. This is Jamie Watson, reverse guy. This is her. She is my liaison. She works for me. And if you reach out to us, you will get her. So if you go to the Porn Brain Reboot website, you'll see her picture there, and she can help you. Is there anything else before we wrap up? We've got just a minute, and then we've got a. You're welcome, King. Yeah. Let's see. Hey, Alex, just so you know, and I can just kind of clean up some thoughts and then I have to roll because I have an appointment, is that a neurologist may not know about this. And, I'm not a horn tutor. I don't toot my own horn a lot, but my experience really is a unique one because I am a cognitive neuroscientist. I have lots of different degrees. So I understand the neurological piece and the functioning, like, and I'm not a neurologist. Neurologists know how to like look at EEG, but don't totally know how it plays out in emotional correlates and behaviors like this. So if you're going to find a neurologist, I encourage you to find one that knows about addictions. It might be better to find someone who knows about that uses QEEG brain mapping and also knows about addictions depending upon what you have going on. But just so you know, also, I have another service at drtrishleigh.com if you're interested, which that website's being rehauled. It's going to be new in the next week or two, where I offer remote neurofeedback and personal coaching. And when you sign up for that, we can do a brain performance assessment. And so I can see what your brain is doing, and I could help you personally if you were interested. Jamie, I got one more. We're probably going to wrap up. Any thoughts?
There was one question about how long does someone last? What is the average time? And
3 minutes, man. And it's 10 to 12 minutes of ramping up, gearing up the engine. 3 minutes in that space of the neurochemical cocktail flood. 15 minutes is what science shows.
Okay, I said 15 minutes, what I thought you had said on the last one.
Of course, that's an average, but Billy Bob, keep yourself in line here, boyfriend. What else do we? Inappropriate comments on this channel, not acceptable. I am going to look badass. Thank you very much for your support. Totally going to look badass in my biker chick motif. It's a persona, man. You can't get too attached to personas. Okay, so I think we're going to wrap up. I see Gladiator has a question. How do you strengthen your prefrontal cortex? I will answer this one, and then we will wrap up because I have to roll. Prefrontal cortex, it goes back to what I just told you. So that project, get yourself a motorcycle project, because not only does it fire up the reward center, your prefrontal cortex is the area for executive function. Tiny steps towards a bigger project that give you rewards. Your prefrontal cortex is directly linked to the reward center in your brain. They communicate back and forth, back and forth. So when you do a project like that, so think of 3 things you've always wanted to do. Now go do it. Find ways to research it, find little pieces that you need to put into place to make it happen, and then start doing it, because not only will you fire up your reward center, you will also reactivate your prefrontal cortex, and you will train it again to be able to go to work on smaller things towards a bigger goal instead of just getting the easy button for dopamine release. Okay, we have to wrap up. Happy Friday, everyone. I will see you on the other side next week. Remember, get engaged this weekend. Go do something. It might not have to be 8 to 5 learning how to ride a motorcycle, but do things that engage you in the world, in your hobbies, in your, the brain training tool that I referred to, Spike, it's called a Muse headband. But if you go to my website at Dr. Trish Leigh, you can purchase the Brain Training 101 program. And in there, you have a link for 15% off that headband. And I teach you how to use it. So it's totally awesome. But yep, we'll see you next Friday. Go do something awesome this weekend. If you don't have plans, make a plan right now. Even if it's to go for a walk in a park, if it's to connect with a friend, if it's to walk your dog, make a plan. Get out, get engaged, work, relationships, hobbies. It will serve you. Trust me on that one. And I will see you next week, where we'll be back here. I will get a video out on Tuesday, so you can put your comments and your questions in. I don't remember what the theme is right now, but I'll let you know at the beginning of next week, and we will rock it out together. Have an awesome weekend, and I'll see you then. Jamie, thank you so much for joining me and for taking the lead at the beginning.
You're welcome. I enjoyed it.
I appreciate it. Okay, bye, everybody. Thanks so much.